So this video here is an introduction into matrix and keylines, which are basic rules which need to be followed when laying out screens. So we're going to focus specifically on mobile screens and mobile devices. So if you click on the drop down menu here, the sidebar, and you go down to layout and you click on matrix and keylines, this will bring us to the text which we are going to go over now. So I'm just going to go down to this section which shows three different screens. On the first screen it is the basic layout, on the second screen it's keylines and margins, and on the right side of the screen there are vertical spaces. Okay. So we're just going to leave this first one for the minute, and we're going to move on to the middle screen here, the keylines and margins. So the basic rules are that there is a 16 dp margin from the left hand side of the screen here. Okay, just like on paper we have a margin. Now this 16 dp is the measurement for distance, just like millimeters is or centimeters. So when talking about constructing screens, applications, the unit which you actually use is dp, or it might be px. Okay, but in this instance we're talking about dp. So 16 from the edge, you will notice that the icon is aligned, the avatar is aligned with this, and all the text is aligned with this. Okay, now on your toolbar at the top here you have your title and you have other text here, and you also have lines which are separating different components or different texts. Now all of these align 72 dp from the left hand edge of the screen. If there weren't any avatars, this text and lines would line up with 16 dp from the screen. Going over the right hand side, you can see there's an icon here which is lined up 16 from the right hand side, and also this button is buttoned up 16 from the right hand side of the screen. You will notice that these lines here actually go all the way to the edge, so those actually don't apply to this rule. Now looking at the vertical spacing of this screen, the vertical spacing basically shows you a measurement of, let's say, how deep these are, or the distance from one point and from the start till the finish. And at the very bottom of here, what you actually get is it gives you the units, it gives you the size of them, so it's numbered them up. So number 1, if you look down here, that's 24 dp. If you look at number 2, which is your toolbar, that is 56. 3, which is your subtitle, which is 48, and all these, if you look at them, are exactly the same, and they are 72 dp. They will change depending on how much text you have in there, but we're going to come on to that a little bit later. Okay, so you'll notice that all these, they line up one after another, but this doesn't apply to all screens, which I'll come on to now. So the second example which we have here, you'll notice that the keylines and margins are exactly the same, whereas you'll notice the vertical spacing is actually different. Okay, now it's the same, there's no space in between them until we get to here. Now if you look across very carefully, there's a line here which has been put in place. Now this line here is separating two things. So this information here is all relevant for folders. This information down here is all relevant to files. So what they've done is they've put a separation line just to show that these two bits of information are different. Now if you look here, above the line there is an 8 dp spacer between the content areas. Now there's a rule. This part here, number 4, there's 2 of them. This doesn't actually have, this subtitle, they don't actually have spaces between them. So if you notice at the top of the line, they have inserted a spacer between number 3 and number 4, whereas between the line and number 4, the subtitle, they do not use spaces. Now if you look at this screen here, there's some slight differences. Now you will notice that on this screen there are icons on the right hand side and they align 16 dp from the edge, whereas this screen here, they actually line 32 dp from the edge. Now the reason why is because there is a button here. So when there's a button on the screen, what will happen is the icons will actually line up and they will be 72 dp from the edge, so that these three are actually in a line, so it makes it a lot neater. Now if you look here, there is no subtitle here, so from the bottom of the button to the next part there's going to be an 8 dp spacer, and you can see from here as well they're separating out the contact telephone numbers and emails with a separation line here, so we'll know that because there's no subtitle either side of this, that on the top of the line we're going to have to put an 8 dp spacer, and also should I say before the line, and after the line we're also going to put an 8 dp spacer. That's a very small introduction. What I would advise is that you look through the rest of this page on the website and just try and get your head around exactly how this works, how it applies to navigation draws and mixed content, and also if you want to go on to look at how they apply to tablets or websites, then feel free to read on. But for these videos specifically, I am looking at mobile device development. So if you've got any questions, please feel free to add a comment on the bottom, and I hope you enjoyed watching. Thank you very much. Goodbye.